Hello, everybody. Thank you once again for tuning into the In When You're Out podcast. As always, I'm your host, John, and today it's just me, but we're going to talk about some pretty heavy stuff, so strap in. It's going to be a good one. So first and foremost, I got a new job. I got two jobs at the moment now. I work for a company called Pure, where we sell air purifiers and vacuum systems, which are pretty good, actually. I'd say they're probably top line. And I also work for FedEx now, just as a material handler, and that's kind of a seasonal part-time job, which will turn into maybe possibly a full-time job once the peak season is over. I believe that's the end of December. So why am I bringing that up today? We're going to talk about John's current state, and we're going to talk about my mental happenings and some other things as well. The main topic for our episode today is going to be disillusionment. And if you guys don't know what that word means, it's basically having a separation or the idea of a separation between your mental atmosphere and the real world. So what's that mean? That means that right now, John is kind of feeling a little disconnected from the world. I don't really have a lot of friends that I've been speaking to. I don't really have a lot of communities I've been in base with. So it's a little difficult for me to kind of conjure the idea or even the description of an idea for how I'm feeling exactly. Disillusionment can kind of fall into a lot of different terms of understanding. One can say they're feeling disillusioned if they're sad or possibly they're not where they think they should be or where they want to be, whether that's in the real world or at least in their headspace. So I bring that up today for a couple reasons. First and foremost, I'll show you something that has little to do with what I'm talking about for the moment, but you'll understand soon. My coffee. No sponsor, just regular coffee. I won't even tell you what kind of coffee it is. But I started putting sugar in my coffee. And before I used to just take my coffee black. And the reason I did that was because it was convenient. It was easy. You just fill up coffee, make your coffee, put it in a mug and drink it. And there you go. You've had your coffee. Enjoy the caffeine rush that you get from it or whatever people enjoy their coffee for. I started going on walks now every day. And well, not every day, but I try to go every day when I can. And it's just around my neighborhood. And it's a walk that I used to take with some of my friends. And we would do some things on the walk that made it a little bit more exciting. I won't get into that exactly, but I don't have those friends anymore, unfortunately. So when I go on the walk now, it's a little bit lonesome. It's very lonesome, I'll say. And that's okay. One of the things I do now, it's almost like a reward system. I'll go and I'll put some sugar in my coffee. And I'll drink. It's that little bit of sweetness that you can enjoy and you'll think, you know what, it was worth it to go on this walk because I got to enjoy my sweet coffee. But usually what happens is I'll put some headphones in and I'll just vibe, or at least I'll try to have a good time, just kind of, think about some things in my head that are going to make me proud or make me feel good because that's kind of the intention of my walk. It's to feel good. It's to make myself a little bit more active than I am. I do fear I'm a little sedimentary, like the rocks, as we all know. So one of the things I try to do to make myself feel a little better is go on these walks, stay active. It at least makes me feel like, I'm not staying in one place physically. Maybe emotionally, I'm still kind of trapped somewhere. Maybe physically where I resign to every day if I just lay in my bed or if I'm going to sleep or whatever it is. I don't really feel like I'm doing everything that I should be. And I have a feeling a lot of people are feeling that way, that they're doing things that possibly aren't contributing to their end goal in life of where they'd like to be or what they'd like to become. So with that in mind, disillusionment is definitely something I've been feeling, unfortunately. And I say it with a happy face because it's almost hilarious sometimes how dark things can be. And I don't mean in any way of I worry about harming myself or harming other people or putting myself in dangerous situations. It's just being almost 26, which my birthday is coming up in less than a month now. Happy birthday to John coming up here. I'm not doing anything for my birthday, and I don't really have any friends that I expect to see or to enjoy some fun times with. It'll most likely come and go as it has for a couple years now. Pretty much since I've turned maybe 23, 24. I think I did something for my 23rd birthday, and it really wasn't that exciting. It kind of fell a little flat. Last year, I don't really remember doing much for my birthday. It was kind of sad because it was just over a year since one of my friends have passed away. And so now it's almost 2 years now. It'll be 2 years in about a week. Don't mind this calendar in the background. For some reason, I don't use that calendar. I use the calendar on my phone. So this is still October. And I think I have some things on here, but it really doesn't matter too much. What does matter is the things that I can say are actually going to come through fruition. I've been working on a benefit concert, or at least I've been attempting to work on it. By that I mean I've been reaching out to some schools in our area, trying to do a benefit concert because I'd like to start the nonprofit I believe I've spoken about a little bit in my not my last episode. It was actually, I think, 3 podcast episodes ago. It was called Homelessness in Binghamton, I think it was, where I talked about my plan to create a cooperative living environment for the Binghamton homeless so they could get treatment for the mental health issues and substance abuse issues as well. And we can allow them to work so they can reacclimate themselves into society and gather skills and possibly even money, depending on what they do, that would allow them to readapt to society and help themselves. We want to help people help themselves, right? But, it's slow moving. It's very slow moving. And I wish things were going a little bit better, but that's just how it goes. I don't even expect to have anything really happen until maybe February. Possibly a little earlier than that, maybe January sometime. It's really about whenever the schools are, finding the availability, because during the holidays, they have a lot of holiday concerts and whatnot. So we would just like to be as available as we can be, to have this be not intrusive for them. They're more likely to provide their orchestra or whoever it is, so that we could actually put this benefit concert on. I don't know a lot of orchestras or whatever they're called, ensembles, I suppose, that would be willing to do this. I called a couple schools. I have a little sticky note here of all the people I've contacted for this. And it hasn't really done too much. But, like I said, slow moving, you're still going somewhere. You're just not getting there terribly fast, and that's okay. Once again, sugar in my coffee, if you understand what that means. Something to make you feel good, even though things possibly aren't where they should be. Something as simple as sugar in your coffee. I don't, I will say this. Since Halloween, I've been diving in on the candy. I do like candy. I got a sweet tooth, unfortunately. I do like candy. So when there's candy in the house, I'm eating it. And I'm eating a lot of it, unfortunately. I got sick. I think it's like a routine thing every year to get sick on on Halloween from candy. And that's okay. It's not like I was puking. I was just not feeling great the next day. But I still, once I felt a little better, that candy was coming right back. And the reason for that is because I feel like we still like to enjoy the small things in our lives, whether it's working out or not. There's still a little bit of solace for us. And I used to always say, I like to offer people a chance for solace. They don't have to perform for me. They don't have to put on a face. They don't have to act a way that they're not feeling if they don't want to around me. And that's something that I feel like a lot of people in society are robbed of. We feel like, even now, I'm wearing a collared shirt, a dress shirt in my room right now as we record this episode. And this is possibly going to be seen by less than 100 people. A lot of the times when I make my podcast episodes, I understand they're probably not going to be viewed by a lot of people. But that's okay. At some point, I'm sure they will. And it's about creating credibility for myself as much as I've robbed myself of credibility already with some of the failures that I've had. There is some hope. But back to our topic of disillusionment. I unfortunately can't really say that there's a lot of things that are going spectacularly well for me outside of my jobs, which, like I said, I just started 2 new jobs. The one I've been doing for about a month. The other one I started literally last week. This will be my 4th or 5th day. I think day 3 or 4, whatever it is, this week. So tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, I believe that's the 4th, 5th, and 6th. And I was going to do an episode about things that were a little different. Let's see. I was going to do an episode about what you need to know before voting in Binghamton 2025, because tomorrow is actually the elections for a couple. One of them is being the mayor of downtown Binghamton, and the other is, or the city of Binghamton, sorry, not downtown Binghamton, just the city of Binghamton. And the other is county clerk position, of which I know one of the I know the candidate, one of the candidates very well. Or at least I thought I did. I reached out to them yesterday for some more information about their policies, and one of them just left me on red, and so it kind of made me feel lessened, as it sometimes does. I will say, it's hard sometimes being a young individual, and I say young, to some people I'm older, if you go on my TikTok lives, I'm usually one of the oldest people there. But if I go to some of the meetings that I used to go to, I was one of the youngest. And being 26 almost, a lot of people still see you as somebody who's a young child, basically. Or young adults, people usually say 18, 19, or 17 or whatever, is a young adult. But a lot of people still see me as a kid. And that's difficult to overcome because you can't really do much. You can provide for people and show people that you're of a certain cut, maybe a different grain of type of person. But at the end of the day, they're not going to think that you're, different or better or any way that you hope to be perceived as simply because of your age. The way I present myself, I hope that people can see me as a professional, or at least I try my very best to promote myself as being a professional in whatever projects I do. We do have a couple things coming up, but again, this is just more tying into the current state of affairs. I believe things will get better soon, and at one point, everything I've done will finally come, and it'll seem worth it, we'll say. By that I mean my sock videos or my podcasts or my audiobook, which nobody watches. I'll be honest. I'll be quite honest. Nobody watches those. My own parents actually, they don't even watch them, which is surprising because last year for my birthday, and this is feeding into disillusionment. But basically, I had asked my family, my immediate family, if they could read my book by my birthday next year. And this was last year. And it's kind of heartbreaking, I won't lie, that nobody has. My father's read my book, but I've changed it a lot since he's last read it. It's 120 pages, not very long. I think by the time I want to get it published, it might break 200 pages. But as it stands, I mean, it's also like not double spaced. So I bet if I double space it, it'd probably shoot up to like 170 pages. But as it sits now, it's about 120 pages. It's 16 chapters. And nobody's read it. And it's November now, and nobody will read it, I fear. And I've told my family that, hey, I'm giving up on that. Not giving up on my book, but I'm giving up on the idea that you guys are going to read my book. So one of the things I said last year was I'm going to be profoundly disappointed if by the time my birthday comes along, nobody's read anything. And my mother has said she's on chapter 3 of my audiobooks. I've uploaded to chapter 11, unfortunately now. So it's difficult because I know if I, as a father, I'm not a father yet. I plan to be at some point, but as a father, I would absolutely read my child's book or any creation that they had. I'd allow for them to feel like it was worth something. Because as it stands now, even when I read it, post it, do some editing, some voiceovers and whatever for my audiobook, it only gets about 10 views, if that. If that. The last one I posted, I believe, has 7 or 8 views, so less than 10 views. It doesn't really feel great, but that's okay. I'll still provide the the voiceover for my chapters because it makes me feel good, right? And that's kind of what we're talking about today, is my current mental state and disillusionment. So as my birthday fast approaches, December 1st, which I think it's okay to tell people my birthday. I don't really think it has so much of a, it's not going to disadvantage me in the future if people know my birthday. It'll come out eventually. I was born December 1st, back in the 90s, actually. Oh, way back in the 90s. I'll just say it's really not a big deal. My birthday is December 1st, 1999. I was born the last month of the last year of the millennia, which is kind of interesting. So if I lived to be 100, 101 month, I would have lived through 3 different centuries. I'm a bicentenarian. A lot of people alive today are bicentenarians if you're 26 or older. But if I live to be 100 years old in 1 month, I'll be a tricentenarian, which I'm looking forward to. But anyway, what I'm trying to say here is I'm disappointed in a profound sense. And I told everybody last year that I would be. And I know there's things I can do to make my book more interesting or to promote it better. I could pay to have it promoted. I could reach out to individuals directly and say, hey, could you try reading my book or listen to the episodes of my audiobook in whatever capacity. But it's just the state that it's in now. It's not, maybe it's not ready. And that's the crux of every artist or writer, author, anything like that. You never really believe that your true form is going to be there. You never really capture in the exact essence of what your idea of what your truest form is at all. You won't really capture that. It's not a real thing. Your idea of what something is not quite exactly what it ever will become. Whether it was my ice cream business or the anime convention or these podcasts here, my audio book or anything that I've done, whether it was the guitar business or the fish tank business or the health and wellness fair, nothing was quite exactly as you imagine it, because that's life. That's how things are. And we all have to have a certain sense about us to understand what things will actually become versus what we hope they will become. And again, sugar in my coffee. You have to appreciate the things that you have, because not a lot of people can appreciate what they don't have. Or a better way to say is, not everybody has the things you do. So it's almost spiteful to say, I need more, right? But just as well, if you're trying to become something and you're not there yet, then you do, in essence, need more. And that's okay in a certain degree, as long as you're not greedy or selfish about it. You can be selfish, but not in a overlapping type of way, overlapping in the way of, it's not just selfishness, it's pure self-centeredness. You could say, I need a higher paying job because I want more money, or for whatever, I need a better atmosphere to be in, whatever it is. And maybe that's a selfish thing to say, well, if I'm a good worker at the company I'm at now, they're going to miss out from me not being there. But we don't usually make decisions with other people's intent in mind, or at least, what's better for other people is usually not what we value when it comes to making decisions in our life. That's okay. It's okay sometimes to be selfish. And I was told by a therapist some time ago, it's okay to be selfish, but there's being selfless, which is not healthy at times, and there's being self-centered, which is on the opposite side of that pendulum. So in the middle is selfishness, but sometimes you need to be selfish, which is fine. It's okay to be selfish, and it's okay to make decisions that are only good for you in the long run. If it doesn't, you could disregard other people's opinions. It's almost best to do on most occasions. And you can live your life being selfish, not selfish like selfishness, but furthering your own efforts because you're improving yourself and focusing on yourself. That's okay. But here's the problem. Herein lies the problem. There's a guilt that comes with being selfish. And somebody like me, I always try to do things for other people, or I've had other people's thoughts in mind, but I've cast away a lot of those intentions of trying to be selfless, because it's putting myself in a disadvantage purely because I believe other people should have more than me, or I believe that there's some reason that I'm in the position I'm at outside of what I've done for myself. I would say confidently that these past 3 years, 2023, 24, and now 25, were probably some of the most difficult portions of my life so far. And I would say confidently that this year might have been the worst year of my life. And there's some reasons for that. Back in 2019, a different year entirely, I had attempted suicide. Seriously, I've said this a couple times on my channel now. If it's a surprise to some people, I'm very sorry for that. But it's not through that worry of your sorriness that I'm holding back in any way. That's being selfless, correct? So I've had other years that were pretty bad, and I went to a mental hospital this year as well, following some incidents that scared my family. That is what I regard as a negative type of selfishness. It's when one person's fear overrides how you are in your life, regardless of how afraid you are in the circumstance. I was not very terrified of myself this year. There were some things I had done that were dangerous or that were possibly not the right or best thing to do at the time. But regardless, I survived, right? So some of the things, I don't want to really get into that here. We're still just talking about disillusionment in my current mental state. But regardless of what's happened, I would pretty decisively say that the past 3 years have been incredibly hard. Namely, because of my friend who had passed away, who killed himself. It'll be 2 years and a couple weeks. And I try not to think about that so much. But sometimes people bring things up, or I have this picture that I drew a couple years ago on my wall, and it's just difficult. It's one of those things. So to live a life that you've so profoundly seen struggle, but at the same time you've enjoyed not struggling, I guess you could say, whatever word that is. A lot of people could say that it's selfish in some regards, but it's selfless in other. And that's okay. We are humans, and so we go in between, opposite sides of this swinging pendulum of, whatever we're experiencing at the time. What I mean to say is I've been given flack, a certain amount of flack from people very close to me about my decisions in life and about why I am where I am. And it's not really fair because a lot of the things that happen to me are perhaps external, and some of the things even that I struggle with internally, I am not at fault for. Those things being my mental health. I can try my best to put myself in good environments and good situations, but failures really hurt because of how profound I try, or profoundly hard I try. And there's certain people, I'm sure, that would say I don't try very hard, but they just don't really understand. So it's a constant battle between proving myself and enjoying what I've proven to myself. But it's through disillusionment that I don't really feel like I've proven much to other people. And that kind of weighs on my perception of who I am, especially because life gets more difficult for people who are struggling with mental health disorders. I'm bipolar. I struggle with panic and anxiety disorder and depressive behavioral something. It doesn't really matter, at least not to name it. But the big deal is we are along a path that is, intrinsically self-improving. We are going to get better. We are already doing better than we were earlier this year. And there will come a time where I can embrace the happiness that would be allowed for me every day. I think there's certain occasions where I've allowed for more happiness but was not able to seize it. And I'm sure that there was times where I found happiness where there wasn't really a lot allotted for me. But that's kind of the way of life. And it's a degradation of one's character to say, well, I live my life just like everybody else, so I struggle the same way. We all struggle in different ways. But what's important to remember is our unique struggles are what build our character. And it's okay in some regards to have those struggles, as everybody does. But we don't need to struggle constantly. We don't need to struggle constantly. It helps build our character. Sure, if you had lost something very dear to you, that would shape your character. But we don't need to have our character shaped in such horrible ways simply because we had to experience these terrible things. That's what I can say is something that's not fair. But when is life ever fair? I live in the United States of America. I have a house. I have a roof over my head. There are people that are getting forcibly starved. And if we compare ourselves to the worst that's happening, it's almost like none of our struggles matter. But they certainly do. But that's the point, again, of disillusionment. It's, do my struggles that have shaped my character, should they have strengthened my character, or should they have been a degradation of my character? And where should I try harder, and where should I give up, if I should give up? And sometimes it's okay to give up on certain occasions. You don't want to completely give up, but it's just difficult because a lot of the times you want to say, well, people are struggling worse than I am, so I shouldn't be so down on myself. But that's pushing away the feelings that could shape you. But in the same way, it's not an alleviance of your struggle. It's just a reallocation of your idea of struggling. Instead of saying that, oh, my life is terrible because of X, Y, Z. You could say, my life is great because of X, Y, Z. And sure. But it's through profound disappointment that we have to begin the idea again of who we are. And I'm kind of rambling at this point, but that's okay. I think it's a productive rant to say. I'm not exactly at all in any way, actually, where I would like to be, nor where I thought I would be. And in the same way, it could be a good thing. I had on occasion not believed I would make it past the age of 18. I'm almost 26 now, and maybe that's why my birthdays are kind of a weight to me. I don't celebrate with my friends because I really don't have friends. I don't celebrate with my family because I'm not very close with my family. And what do I have to celebrate? Being alive for another year, it's something that not everybody is afforded. So I should be grateful. But having the condolence of missing out, of feeling grateful, whatever that word could be, does not override the feelings of depression or worry or strife or whatever it is, the burden of realizing, even though I am alive, even though I've made it another year, which not everybody does, and a lot of people have lost their lives before they could say they were my age, and so I should be grateful. It's hard to rationalize how I should feel. Should I feel good simply because life is an enigma? It's so hard to say what's good and bad at times, but if you're still alive, life must be going okay. Well, if you suffer, it's hard to make that same assessment. But as you start to get older, you'll begin to understand, to my younger viewers watching, that it is kind of a miracle to be alive for as long as you do. But I don't want to suffer for another 100 years. I want to be happy in any capacity, And we're really getting down to the heart and to the core of what's kind of been plaguing me. Is there's a lot that I wish I had that I don't. And yes, it's my fault. And of course it's my fault. It's not anybody else. Well, you can't say that precisely. But I don't have full control over my life. I wish I did. Some of the control is in other person's hands, and I wish it wasn't. Once I make enough money and I can buy another vehicle and I can move out and continue living how I choose, will I be happy? I'll be afforded new struggles. But am I happy? Or will I be happy? And am I looking forward to doing things that will eventually make me happy? Possibly. Maybe. Things have kind of taken a turn now. I was hoping I'd feel a little bit better after expressing myself in my podcast, but we've been going on for about a half hour now, and I don't feel any better. I just kind of feel, I feel worse. I won't lie to you. I have a little piece of paper in front of me here with a couple topics to speak about, that being my current mental state, disillusionment, friends, new jobs, and sugar in my coffee, or enjoy life. That's kind of what I'm trying to say is you should enjoy life. And as much as I'd like to, I'm not. And to a lot of people, I am the positive face online that shows my socks, does a little dance, plays with my dogs, and, what I afford to other people is a positive environment online. And even through my podcast, I do give people a platform to share their ideas, share who they are, although it's not to many people. That someday, hopefully, it will be. It's just through the idea that things will get better at some point, but I understand that now and tomorrow and the day after that, it probably won't. But possibly the day after that or the day after that. So it's the continuation of life simply because we have a hope, a dream, a belief that it will get better. I say this, and I haven't said it in a while, but I got to eat a lot of shit. That's why I got 2 shovels, right? And I would think, or I had thought when I was younger, by the time I was my age, I would have a lot more. I've already said this, but I may be disappointed in myself as well. Not as much as I'm disappointed in some other people, but I am certainly disappointed in myself for allowing other people to make decisions of my own behalf. When to be a man or to be a person, you have to be the person making your own decisions. And, finally now, when I'm working 2 jobs and I'd say I'm making pretty decent money. Maybe like $1,000 a week, probably less than that. It's really not bad. But is that all it is? Is that all that we measure ourselves with, is how much money we're making? To my family, that seems like all that's important, is how much money I'm making. Because if I'm making a lot of money, I must surely be happy. But tomorrow I'll get paid over $500 from one of my jobs, and sometime next week, or maybe the week after, or this week or the week after, I will get paid for my other job, and it could be a couple $100. So it's not like I'm going to spend it on anything. Nothing that I would like to. So what's it worth? The things that I want, I can't fucking buy. The people that I loved, or the people I could have loved, or maybe I shouldn't have. I can't buy that. So we work in places that we don't enjoy, or maybe enjoy just enough to be taught something we already know, so we can hoard some wealth and buy some things we really don't need. The question of what is it worth is a very, very profound question to me. I will continue to do what I need to do, what has been placed on me as a need, because it satisfies other people. But even tomorrow, when direct deposit hits my account and I can see that I've made over $500 from one of my jobs, it won't fill me with joy. It'll probably just make me feel like another person, chugging away, doing what we're supposed to be doing. And that, in essence, is disillusionment. Feeling separated from society, from the world, from reality, simply because our emotions have not connected correctly. And I'm not happy with that. This might be one of the darkest episodes I've made on the channel, but I think I'm going to upload this regardless. And I'm sure I've spoken in circles many times. And, I haven't really said anything I feel like was even worth recording. Speaking to myself, saying these things that maybe should have been said some time ago in my head, and then lived out through the actions in my life. Maybe it should have just been there, right? But, the worst part really, is that even when I upload this video and it sits on my channel for a week, it probably won't even get 100 views. And I have a lot of work and many more videos to make before I can even say that any of this is worth it, right? It might be worth it for other people, but once again, do I only exist to make other people happy? Even if in my heart of hearts, in who I am not happy. Is that what we exist for? Other people's enjoyment? I know it's kind of a crowning achievement to say that I've come as far as I have, and that I have the channel and I have the platform and, whatever community I've garnered. Not everybody has that, and people would absolutely, and I've spoken to some people who wish they had the same opportunities I have or the things that I've created. But simply because I have something that other people want does not mean I am happy about it. It just means that some people are either envious or proud of me, and either is fine. It doesn't really help my self-esteem to know that I'm doing something or have things that other people don't. It just makes me think, well, if they did what I did, they could. And I don't think it's terribly hard to do what I do. So I haven't felt like I've carved out my own little piece of whatever this is, whether it's the internet, whether it's the world, whether it's a community, whether it's society, whatever. Whatever I've achieved so far doesn't really feel like an achievement. And the other things I've tried to do are not successful. It might be many years until I finally find what it is that can break through and make me feel happy outside of satisfaction. Achieving something shouldn't just feel good because it's over or because you influence people. It should feel good somewhere in your soul, in your body. I don't even know or believe that people have souls. I think we're just kind of a consciousness that's operating electricity in a nervous system. I think a lot of people could agree with that. But once again, I'm a bit devoid of the true emotion that could be regarded as happiness. But I carry on. Because in a couple years, hopefully less than a couple, things must be better. And it's only through the correct interpretation of who I am that many people could agree in a way or allow me to be who I choose. It's going to be difficult to rewatch this, I can guarantee that. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to be worried about me simply because I'm speaking in the way that I am. And maybe that's why I don't share things like this terribly often. Maybe that's why I act in a superfluous and happy way for people to identify their own negativity and say, well, at least with Socks with John, I can disregard that and feel better just watching this video of this plucky guy dance around and show his funky socks. And that's fine. But once again, that's not for me. That's for other people. Like I said, it's definitely going to be hard to rewatch this episode and think that this was worth saying. And the people I'm breaking through to, they're going to watch this and say, oh, brother, this guy's just bitching. And maybe I am. And that's another problem as well, is if you formulate your complaints in any way that's, public, it just does sound like bitching. So I'll probably wrap it up here. No, I don't know if I'm going to post this. What a waste of time. You're watching this because I did choose to post this episode, and although it does seem a little dark and dreary, I do feel like a lot of the things I said were important, but I am going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it very much so. Tune into the next episode coming soon, I'm sure, where I promise it won't be as drab. I'll see you guys.